Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division in the Skyline Cup Tournament. Video here sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. So let's go. We're gonna start off with hole number one course of the park, the Paris. We're gonna play with the Viper here just to lay up. I'm going to use a marlin ball as we do need a little bit of side spin while we go and make this drive, but also if we're going to approach the pin in a decent way. We're going to lay up in max distance of our club and we're going to use 2 to 3 bars of side spin to the right combined with 1 bar backspin to go just straight forward. We're gonna play this one 10% downhill. That's super important, and when playing downhill that means that the ball is gonna be affected more by the wind and therefore you will have to add extra to your adjustment. Before it's time to take the second shot, you can see in the video description down below that you can get timestamps for all the holes in this playthrough, which means that if you don't want to watch hole number one, then you don't. Then you just click on the time just beside the hole number and then you will get to that specific hole. Also, if you do want to get the updated text guides, which is with more detailed instructions in text, you can get them at patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Here we find ourselves in a very tricky position. I wanted to bring this up here to just show you why we do want to play with a Goliath. Even though the Goliath would be in a lower level, we do want to play with the Goliath as we otherwise gonna have such a big thing there with the in-between club situation. Now I will have to be a bit creative and also a bit innovative when playing this one, is that I do adjust for max distance 10% extra with my long iron, using side spin to the left combined with 1 bar top spin, and that also means that I'm using a little bit of curl to the left, trying to get the ball up there towards the pin. Now I don't get it in the hole, which I didn't expect. That is because I couldn't adjust it properly. Therefore, we do need the Goliath. Hole number 2, 10% downhill here as well. And once again, when it's downhill, it means that the ball is going to be affected more by the wind. Now, we're going to take a look at the yellow ring as our target, like the bullseye there. Where are we? We are having a slight amount of the yellow ring at the bottom, inside the part where the shadow is from the tree. That's cool though, and the only thing there is that we do want to back it up just a little bit so the bullseye is just in the shadow there. Then we will get the ball to stop sooner and not roll this far on the green. In the end, we will be able to go for the pin here, but we do need to make sure that our landing position is correct. Spin wise, we do want to use somewhere between 3 to 4 bars backspin. I would prefer 4, but if you do not have more than 3, that will work as well. We need to play with the clubs that we're having, and in Rookie Division there will be lower level clubs, and therefore the stats won't be that good when it comes to going towards the pin there. So 10% extra, we play it for max distance adjustment, so max numbers is the thing that we're gonna go with, and then that's gonna go and be at least a very safe birdie for us. Our opponent goes too far, roll over, gets to the fringe, shouldn't be a problem to get the ball in the hole from there though. Now we're gonna play with a power 2 ball, and here you're gonna see, or at least you're gonna hear me talk about what the difference is gonna be for us playing with a power 2 or a power 3 ball. First, we need to have in mind here, playing with a power 2 ball will be some type of overpower needed. So we are going to stretch out, we're gonna focus on getting the ball to bounce just before the rough with the second bounce, and then to bounce over the rough and then roll on that fairway island we do have there on the top left. That's a technical adjustment, but we do need to go that route. As for going to the right side, it's gonna be a problem for us as we do not have the curl to do so. You can see we bounce very nicely over, and we're using an extra mile that gives us 4.5 bar topspin. I understand that you might not have a club that do have 4.5 bar topspin, but then you will have to try to go with more overpower to get the first bounce to be before the rough and bounce over for the second bounce. So that's something that you will have to have in mind, as you otherwise is gonna have a little bit of a problem with that drive. With the second shot now, we're gonna play with a club that gives us distance for two reasons. We are gonna first want to play with a club with distance due to that it is pretty far down to where we want to bounce, but we also want to play for it because if we do cut the rough with our drive and go short with our drive, we do need that distance, otherwise we're gonna have a problem. So, big dog level 3, you can see the ball guideline. Oh my god, I would say how hard it is to read the ball guideline with the big dog there. And you know, you kind of try, but there is no way really to get to know if we're gonna be close or not. The thing that we are going to notice is that I'm using 3 bars top spin and I'm gonna go a little bit long, which makes us to play with 2 bars of 2.5 bar top spin instead, and then we're gonna be fine. We do not want to go too far and we still want to bounce over the rough. Elevation adjustment is for the drive 0, for the second shot 10% extra, and also you can see there that playing with a power 3 ball will gain you more distance for the drive, and therefore you don't have to go with any overpower. Hole number 4, now we do get a par 3 here, and this is a par 3 where we definitely can dial this one in for an hole-in-one. I really enjoy this hole and I'm going to use my red ring with the backbone as a reference here. And the backbone will be the best club to play for us because we do have a very good accuracy, but we also have a decent ball guideline. Max side spin to the right, which is 4.5 bar side spin, and we're going to go with 1.5 to 2 bars of backspin, whatever you feel comfortable with. Then we're going to adjust 20% over adjustment here. And you can see there I'm almost running out of time, but we bounce where we want to, and it bounces and it rolls and it gets very nicely in the hole. This is a shot that is possible to replicate. Study it, make sure that you're playing it in the correct way. Very important though is to play with side spin. Side spin is super important, as for that will take away the need of curl. So use the side spin that you're having on your ball. If you do have a quasar, that's absolutely perfect. A katana won't be bad either, but I would say the quasar with the 4.5 bar side spin would be perfect. I once again don't enjoy to use more than power 0 balls on par 3s in rookie, but here we do need the side spin and therefore we're gonna use it. Hole number 5, another par 4 where I do believe we're gonna have a decent opportunity to make an eagle. We're going to use the extra mile that we're having, or we're going to use a quarterback. I'm gonna tell you the difference, what's gonna happen depending on those type of clubs. Now we're gonna use the side spin to the left, 2.5 bar and also 4.5 bar top spin. If you do have or do want to play with a side spin 2 or side spin 3 ball, and now I'm talking about quasar or I'm talking about katana, then you can use that ball to get just the enough side spin so you don't have to play with curl. Playing with this ball that only has side spin 1, the Marlin ball, then we are needed to play with the curl, and then we'll go with approximately 1/4 of the ball outside the adjustment ring to the left with our shot. We're going to over adjust the drive with 10% as well. That is super important. So what is the difference between the quarterback and the extra mile then? The difference is that we're going to play the extra mile in medium distance, the quarterback in maximum distance, and I would prefer for us to play with the quarterback with a power 2 ball minimum, which is a quasar. We also need to make sure that we're having at least 4 bars backspin with the quarterback, as we otherwise gonna have a problem getting into enough distance for our second shot. Once we get there, now we're gonna have a thorn towards the pin, and I do value the thorn more than I do value the hornet here, because we are going to have to bounce over the not bounce over, but go directly over the bunker, and then the distance from the bunker towards the pin, it's very tiny, or there isn't that much room. So having a club like the thorn, even though it's in level 2 for us here, then we can use the enormous backspin on the thorn and give ourselves a very good chance to get this ball in the hole. So pick the correct club. We don't want to find ourselves having to use the back of the green to make the ball fall back down to even have a chance. Now we're going to adjust this one for maximum distance of our club with a 10% over adjustment. And that's going to be, what can I say? That's going to be a good opportunity. And I think we're going to see some eagles here on hole number 5. So, 10% extra for the drive, 10% extra for the second shot, then we're gonna be there. This is gonna be very close, and on another day that one is gonna go in. But once again, for those that are playing rookie, it's definitely gonna be some struggle with the less ball guideline on your clubs. 3 bars topspin here, as much as side spin to the right, and here you can see I'm playing with a katana. I'm going to, in the end, gonna want to end up there on the top right. And we do want to be able to see the second bounce on our shot to be over the rough line. That's going to be so important, as if we do not see the second bounce being over, we're most likely going to cut the rough and roll out and have a long way towards the pin. You can see here I'm using as much curl to the right possible with extra mile level 5, which is approximately 1/4 of the ball to the right. I would say half a ball of curl would be the maximum amount of curl I would go with, because we don't want to over curl it. We do want the ball to follow the fairway path down there towards the right, which will lead to us getting a very nice opportunity for an albatross. And when I say nice opportunity for an albatross, I mean more that we do get an opportunity. If we do not go to the fairway and go like this, like our opponent, there is no chance whatsoever to reach for the green in 2, even if you would be having a very strong tailwind. For the second shot, I'm choosing to play with the big dog to give myself distance. That's to compensate for if I cut the rough and roll out. I do need distance for the second shot to be able to reach to this tiny little fairway island when we're going to adjust for the pin. The shot here is played uphill, and as I've been talking about downhill, how the ball is going to be affected more, now when we play uphill, the ball is going to be affected less. So that is super important that you do take off and play this one slightly under adjusted than you would be on a normal shot. The big dog once again doesn't really have that much for us. 2.5 bar backspin won't be enough to get the ball to stop, but at least it's gonna get us close, and this time we hit the pin and get the ball to drop in for an albatross. So that wasn't really expected, but that was nice. Hole number 7, 10% downhill, 2 bars backspin, and then a couple of bars side spin to the right. Now I'm using half a ball of curl to the right combined with hitting the ball great, which is gonna make us miss to the right. Even if we get it close, the only thing here that I would change is that I would be playing the same way. The only thing would be to take away this shot where we did hit great. We cannot hit great, then we're gonna have a problem. So for the approach shot here, I'm using the backbone. I'm not using a club to go directly on the green. If you do have a club that gives you 5 bars of backspin minimum, then I would go directly at the green as our opponent. Not maybe aim as our opponent, but I would do and go directly at the green, because that's going to be the easier way for you to get the ball in the hole than trying to bounce there. But with the lack of backspin on every club that I'm having as a long iron, then that's gonna be a very big problem for me when going for there. Now, hole number 8, and here you can see I'm using 3 bars topspin, max side spin to the left, and this is going to be a drive that ends up in the bunker. The reason I'm wanting to show you this drive is to display the amount of inconsistency this drive will give you. I would say the only thing I would change to this drive is that I would play with 2 bars topspin instead of 3, and hoping that the ball will stop. Max distance plus a 10% over adjustment with 4.5 bar side spin to the left, and we're gonna aim to bounce there at that hole, and then you can see how much this ball rolls. Not really a normal way for the ball to roll, but you can see here we roll all the way down into the sand. So the only thing that we're gonna change is to play with 2 bars of topspin, play the same type of drive, and actually hope that we're not gonna be unlucky and roll into the sand. The thing that you need to do if you roll into the sand is to make sure that you're putting the sandwich that gives you the most distance possible in your bag. That to not go for the green in 2, because that's not going to be possible, but that to get your ball to get as far up on the fairway possible. Because there we will have to use our skill when it comes to our short iron or with our wedge to try to get that ball in for a birdie. This is going to be a hole where there's going to be a lot of pars because of the drive. There isn't really any other way to play this hole because we do need to get a little bit of distance and we do need to get ourselves on the fairway. The second shot, if we get the ball to fairway, which is of course the plan, then we want to play with the big dog to give ourselves distance. Like if we cut the rough and roll out, for example, we once again need to compensate for that by using the big dog in our bag instead of playing with a viper or with a sniper that will be having less power. Also, in the end, we do want to get ourselves a power 3 ball. Now you can see our opponent play with a basic ball, and making a birdie with a basic ball on this hole is very, very good. But I would play with a power 3 ball to once again make sure that I do have the distance. I really dislike that I'll have to suggest that for a par 4, but this is one of, if not the toughest par 4 in the whole game, due to all from the inconsistency to the need of distance. And therefore it's going to be a much tougher hole to play in rookie than it's going to be in, for an example, pro, expert or master. From this distance I always go for the dunk, max distance range, nothing extra, nothing under adjusted, and the ball is gonna go in the hole. And sure, dunks might not be the way that you want to play it, but I definitely feel that a dunk from that position is a good way to see if you can save yourself from making a par. Hole number 9, and here we're going to play 25% downhill. With a 2 mile per hour wind, the difference is gonna be only like 0.1 decimals or something like that, which is not gonna be something that we need to adjust for, because in the end it's not gonna give us anything different when it comes to the adjustment. The only thing is important to actually know that it's a 25% downhill approach. So the ball is, let's say if you play with a basic ball, you can get up to 6 miles per hour in wind, and going to get that 6 miles per hour in wind is going to more or less be around 7.5 miles per hour, how the ball is going to be affected. And that's definitely going to be a difference when it comes to that amount of wind. Our opponent's gonna play to the right, and now I talked a lot about, you know, the downhill adjustment, but as you see I played to the left using as much left side spin possible, which is 4.5 bars with 4.5 bar top spin at the same time, trying to gain as much distance on that second fairway possible. And I'm playing with a power 3 ball. On this hole, a power 3 ball is an absolute must, because otherwise we will not be able to reach for the green even if we max overpower our shot. 1 bar top spin and as much side spin to the right, and here the plan for me is to just bounce it over the rough, get the ball to stop at any time before it rolls into the rough behind the green. And that's in itself gonna be tough, but I don't see this one as an albatross opportunity. I see this one to just make the eagle. It could be, doesn't have to look good, it could be pretty dirty, but we do in the end want to just get the eagle and be done with it. You can see my ball, I hit it very bad, and I got this fairway glitch once again where the ball is rolling massively fast, get it over there, and the ball is giving us a very nice and easy setup for the wedge. So there is a lot of things to think about in this tournament, especially for those of you that are playing in rookie, because some of the holes, I would say 4 of the holes requires distance, and some of the holes requires a lot of side spin. So I do want to try to play with as many power 0 balls possible, but there isn't really any hole where you can play straight forward and then you will have to use curl, or you're gonna go short. And therefore I'm using a very mixed setup of balls here. And please, if you do not want to spend anything else on a power 0 ball, ask if you are concerned about how to approach a specific hole. in this Skyline Cup tournament. As once again, if you do have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. This was the playthrough for Rookie Division in Skyline Cup tournament. I do believe we're going to see a score to win the tournament to be somewhere around -27 and 28, and that's going to be tough, but it's going to be necessary to be able to win. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the Skyline Cup tournament.